Let's bring in Karl Rove. He's a Fox News contributor and former senior advisor to President George W. Bush. Karl, great to see you. And a couple of things we have to point out here. One, Jim Jones. I want to get your take on this. The National Security Advisor saying that we're going to be shocked about what the president talks about in this report. Earlier, former Homeland Security Secretary Tom Ridge said that we need to get back to that 9/12 mindset of 2001. Is it your sense, Karl, that we are nowhere near that mindset?
No, we aren't. In fact, the biggest problem is not within the NCTC and within the intelligence community. Though, look, I want to say one word of defense for them. There's a lot of information flowing through there. It seems to me this should have been caught. But there is a lot of information flowing through there, and the expectation that human beings are going to be perfect 100% of the time, or that the system of computers and algorithms and detection software is going to be perfect 100% of the time is just wrong. We live in a dangerous world in which it is a complicated puzzle to find actors like the Christmas Day bomber. But, this system clearly broke down. To me, the problems are equally bad in the aftermath of it. The biggest decision with the judgment failure in my mind was the immediate decision by Holder and others to treat the Christmas Day bomber as a criminal defendant, not as an enemy combatant. We had a fresh person who could reveal immediate information about ties to al-Qaeda, the people who set him in motion, and we should have gotten that information, not allowed him to lawyer up. And that, to me, is indicative of a pre-9/11 mindset, which says, you know what, we don't need to squeeze these people for all the intelligence we can get in order to connect other dots and pick up other bad actors. It's a criminal investigation. Turn it over to the Eastern District of Michigan and see if they can get a successful prosecution.
Yeah, Karl, it's Martha here. When you and I spoke yesterday, you made the point that you felt President Obama said we weren't going to point fingers. You said really the White House needs to take responsibility for this. Major Garrett just indicated that may be what we're going to hear today, that the White House is going to say, the buck stops here, essentially.
Right. I think that'd be great if the president did it. I was a little bit troubled when Director of National Intelligence Blair yesterday basically was pointing the fingers at the intelligence community, saying they made mistakes. Heads have got to roll. If we're concerned about judgment issues here, then we ought to look at the whole picture and look at who was responsible for making that decision. And I suspect it was the Attorney General to put the Christmas Day bomber into the criminal justice system. At the same time that we're looking at what analysts failed to catch this and where did the information system break down. This is not the time for taking out and having a public demonstration, a public beheading, if you will, of somebody. Now's the time to find out what went wrong and to fix those problems so that hopefully we don't face this again. But again, I repeat, this is a very complex problem in which there are a lot of data flows, and human beings are, after all, human beings. And it would be right for the president to take the responsibility on his shoulders and stop Blair and others from sort of pointing fingers inside the intelligence community. It sounded much like they were trying to protect the president and the White House from any criticism that there might be, and by doing so, they bring more criticism on the White House and the administration. When National Security Advisor Jones goes out and says you're going to be shocked about it, how many Americans immediately thought back to that Sunday in which we had Janet Napolitano, Homeland Security Secretary, and Robert Gibbs, White House Press Secretary, saying the system worked? If it's such a shock, why were they out there trying to reassure us with something that every American knew was not true?
But you made a great point, Karl. The point here is afterwards is that this guy was a wealth of intelligence, Abdul Muttalib. I mean, now he's going through the civilian court system, and we're waiting if he settles or makes a plea deal down the road to get more intelligence. If he had gone to, and the intel people I've talked to, if he had gone to interrogation, we might have a great deal of actionable intelligence that could save lives now.
And we could be working on it, following up on developing additional leads and taking action now rather than wait for a plea bargain. Look, this guy was dead to rights in the criminal justice system, whether you put him into it today or you put it in 10 months from now or 10 years from now. The guy had explosives in his underwear, for God's sake. How difficult would it be to prosecute him for that? But we lost it. We lost a valuable opportunity. He was a new member of al-Qaeda who had not been trained in the techniques to withstand interrogation. All you needed to do is use use the Army Field Manual. Heck, get a couple of actors out of some crime drama in L.A. and get them to interrogate this guy, and we probably would have gotten a lot of useful information. And now we have him lawyered up, and now we're going to have to trade for that, and we didn't need to. We could have treated him as an enemy combatant, and this is the problem. My understanding is that this issue was visited 2 days ago in the White House meeting over this issue, and that Attorney General Holder was unable to give an appropriate explanation for why they took the course of action they did. I hope this is something that the president addresses in his 3 o'clock speech, and if not, I hope he allows questions to be asked about it, because this is a judgment failure that has huge consequences. And as long as we're changing these intelligence systems to detect these things, let's change the mindset at the Department of Justice and get them back to looking at these people as enemy combatants and valuable sources of information.
We're about to find out. Karl Rove, good of you as always, sir. Thank you.